All right, let's start this off, y'all.
Mr. Richley, your latest book, Come Clean, Get Rich, seems to have only sold 1 million copies. It seems that people aren't buying what you're selling anymore. Oh, well, what do you want me to do? Mr. Richley, we need you to get a little more creative. Appeal to the people. Give them something they haven't seen before. Come off as something new. Something fresh. Okay, I'll see what I can come up with. Hey guys, Joe Average here. Are you tired of taking advice from rich guys who don't know what it's really like out there? Are you ready to take control of your life and emotions? I used to be a brown log in a yellow sea just like you, until I found out that the key to being rich is to stop acting broke. You see, those other guys play by the rules, but those rules don't work for us. In my first book ever, Unfuck Your Shitty Life, I give you 273 no-bullshit tips to stop being a lazy piece of crap. This book is full of hard truths that tell you how much you really suck. And you know I'm a rebel who plays by his own rules, because I put the F word in the title. Publishers hate that, but I don't do what the man tells me, which makes me relatable to people like you. See, I'm way edgier than that rich guy, so you can totally trust me. I'm not one of those suits that wrote those other books with their awesome haircuts and boats. So buy my first ever book, Unfuck Your Shitty Life, today, so I can get back to shopping for islands. I mean, getting back to my normal Joe job, working 11 to 5 at Dairy Queen. Just like you. Welcome to the Broke Otaku Podcast. I'm your host, AJ. With me is Marcus, a.k.a. Pantera Bread.
You know something about grain? No, I'm asking, do you know anything about it? Because I don't.
No.
The sign says Pantera, but I don't know what that means.
It's a band, right?
It's the band that Godsmack ripped off, I think.
Oh, all right. So that's why
I like Godsmack.
That's why it's.
I like I did. I used to like Godsmack too. And then I heard Pantera. I was like, this sounds like Godsmack, but these guys came before Godsmack. So it must be that Godsmack sounds like Pantera.
Right on.
Anywho.
Can't argue with that. And Alan, a.k.a. Chef Boyard, don't.
Yeah, I got the pasta. I put in the can for you. But you know what? Don't eat it. It's not for you. It's for somebody else. You know what's in there? Drugs. You know what's not in there? Noodles, meatballs, sauce. It's all drugs. It's drugs. Don't do it. Chef Boyard, don't. It's right there on the title. Bad things will happen to you and your family. Don't do it. Move along. Get the off-brand. Get the off-brand. It's better. It's better for you. It won't kill you. It's not poison. Chef Boyard, don't, motherfuckers.
SpaghettiOs.
That's the worst way to move weight ever. It's like a bunch of. It's like, who's supposed to get it? Like
nobody.
People who know that it's not noodles.
So
Spaghetti knows.
So it's just in plain sight. That's the trick.
What else does Chef Boyard? They got that ravioli. That's gross.
They got
SpaghettiOs.
Don't get me started.
SpaghettiOs.
You got beefaroni, which is the king. No, beefaroni is the king, man. You got the cheese, the mini cheese raviolis, and you got the mini beef raviolis.
I don't know what happened.
Full size ones
between my childhood and my adulthood, but Chef Boyardee started tasting nasty.
Your taste buds evolved and replaced themselves.
I still think it tastes good. I mean, I haven't had it in probably a year or two, but I still think it tastes good. I thought you were going to say it hurts your little tum-tum.
Well, maybe.
I imagine how older stuff back in the day tastes to my adult mind now, and I'm like, there's no way that I would think that's good now, even though I liked it back in the day.
It just tastes like fire. It tastes like broke. That's what
it does taste. It does taste like you only paid $1 for it. And sometimes, I mean, it's mostly nostalgia, I think, for me.
I can see that.
It makes me feel young again. But you know what's still fire is s'mores Pop-Tarts. You know what is not as good as you remember? Brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tarts.
Really?
I went on a Pop-Tart bender recently.
That sounds awesome.
The thing with, brown sugar, I think I just ate too many of those in my lifetime, and they just started tasting bad. They were not good.
They're really not that good.
You know
I
what
really
didn't
actually-
age? Peeps.
Peeps are disgusting. Ugh.
Peeps have always been gross. Fight me.
I used to love them.
Everybody did.
Bright and
When you were a kid, it was like sugar. Ooh, give me sugar. Rah, sugar.
Oh, is it chewy? Is it goopy? Why kids always want to eat goopy shit?
No, I never
it's
liked
fun.
Peeps, and I eat all the candy.
Man,
Alan's the
Never
king.
liked
He's
Peeps.
king
about to
candy.
peep
Actually-
his hand upside your head, talking like that.
I'm just not a fan of marshmallow, really, except in certain situations.
You just
If
said
you
you
just
like
put, like, a
s'more
glob-
Pop-Tarts. That's got
I do like
marshmallow
s'more
in
pop
it.
tarts, but that's like part of a larger picture. Like marshmallow is an enhancement, not a
Not a-
feature. You
the
know what I
main
mean?
You know what
feature. What about
super
Lucky
garbo?
Charms?
You know what super
What?
trash? Them effing juice barrels that you would drink when you were real little. Y'all remember those?
But like the
That-
wax
like
ones?
the wax ones, you bite them open.
No, not those.
Those were nasty.
Not-
I feel sick just thinking about those.
No, they were
Yeah.
they were just like, it was juice. It was like a barrel, and it had like the aluminum top that you would have to peel.
Oh,
off.
the hugs.
I think so. I think that's what.
Oh,
they're
yeah,
called.
yeah.
They called them
Hugs.
hugs.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember
those are
drinking those
gross.
in high school and like getting the worst headache. Because like when you're a kid, it's like, oh, these are good, and then you drink like 3
Yeah.
when you're in high school because they're like 5 cents a piece. And I was like,
Yeah.
I feel like crap. What is in these?
Nah, that's
You know what's in it? Water, sugar, and food coloring. That's what those are made of. It's not
Yep.
a real thing.
It might as well be poison.
Might as well be.
Yeah.
It was bad. So I don't drink those no more.
Speaking of poison, what did we watch this week?
Well, before we get into what we watched, we got some game time that we got to
Oh
fill.
yeah, I forgot.
He forgot. Been doing this podcast for like a year and a half now. He forgot what the format is. That's hilarious.
We've been talking for like an hour before we even started, so it feels like we should be done.
That shit ain't new.
First, you do the game. I mean, the ad. Then you do the game. Then you
Yeah.
talk about the show.
This is
Then you get the money, which hasn't happened yet, but
yeah.
we're working on it.
Keep holding your breath till you turn blue, because you will. Anyway, we got the
money's in your
Tokusatsu
heart.
Game Variety Pack.
Suma Wada?
The Tokusatsu Game
Okay.
Variety Pack.
Paku.
Either one of y'all know what Tokusatsu is?
No.
Is that is it a person? Is it a person's name?
It isn't. Here's what it is. Tokusatsu
Is it,
is a genre. Shut up. Tokusatsu is a genre of Japanese live action television that makes heavy use of special effects. This genre has gone on to influence many anime and even live action adaptations abroad, which is pertinent to what we're talking about later tonight. The most prominent example of Tokusatsu would be a show called Super Sentai, which was adapted to the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in the United States.
Thanks, Sabin.
Ranger Tiger Power.
Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, that's the game. There's going to be, how many rounds did I make for this bullshit? 4 rounds. First round is a very simple round of trivia. Pick a number between 1 and 1 billion.
3.
4
Alan wins.
million.
No, he said 4 million.
Oh, he said 4 million. Shit. I shouldn't have picked such a weird number.
You're right.
AJ, you're right. You're closer.
Seemed like such a good
I
idea.
picked
What was the number?
5,382. But in my head, I put zeros behind that. But then I was like, okay, how many zeros did I put? Anyway, too much explanation.
I should have prices right of you, AJ.
This has
Yeah,
already
just went
gone
with
to.
4.
Yeah, you should have said 4. You would have won.
All right, so
$1, Bob.
This
You.
first round is Toku Origins. AJ, answer this question for me if you dare. What we now know as modern Tokusatsu saw a boom in the 1950s with the creation of a creature whose name in Japanese is a combination of the Japanese words for gorilla and whale.
Gorilla. Whale.
Japanese word. So don't say like gory whale or something stupid.
Gorilla waru. I don't know those Japanese words. The 1950s?
Yeah, well then just guess.
I don't know. King Kong?
You're wrong.
I hope so.
It's Godzilla.
Oh,
I was
shit.
gonna. Can I steal it? I was
No,
gonna say
because you
Gojira.
get the next question.
How's
We're
that
not-
Gojira is
I want the
gorilla
steal the
and
points.
oh, Gojira.
Gorilla is how they say gorilla in Japanese, apparently.
Uh-huh.
And Kojira is whale or Kujira.
See, you threw me off because King Kong is a gorilla.
I did throw you off. That's why it's a
That was
game.
the loop.
You lose. Alan,
Tripped you up.
you're up next. In filming Godzilla, special effects artist Eiji Tsuburaya devised many techniques that will become staples of the tokusatsu genre. What American film is cited as one of his major inspirations?
Oh Christ, I don't know. I'm gonna say The Human Fly.
You lose too. The answer is, coincidentally, King Kong.
King Kong. I knew it.
Ah,
Godzilla and King Kong, two of the most popular examples of the big monster genre of tokusatsu. So,
Big monster
round one
fighting
flopped.
genre.
let's do round two, which is America under the influence. This goes back to you, AJ.
Okay.
The tokusatsu genre would evolve from featuring kaiju, such as Godzilla, to focus on masked superheroes like Kamen Rider. Eventually, this would further evolve to teams of superheroes in shows like Super Sentai and Juko B Fighter. What American adaptations respond by the shows that I just mentioned? Those three shows being Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, and Juko B Fighter. Here's the rub for this game. I'm going to give them to you, but I'm going to give you four. So you're going to pick three of the four, and then you're going to put them with the right Japanese show.
Okay.
So the first one is VR Troopers. Next is Big Bad Beetleborgs. After that, Master Rider. And then Power Rangers. So
Power Rangers Super Sentai. That's a given.
yeah, because I said it. I didn't even think about that when I said it.
Yeah, well, I knew it anyway.
Okay.
I want to say
played yourself.
Big Bad Beetleborgs for the one with the B in it.
Juko B Fighter.
Juko B Fighter.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going with Big Bad Beetleborgs on that.
Okay.
And it's either Masked Rider or VR Troopers.
Yep.
I think I'm gonna go with Masked Rider for Kamen Rider because VR Troopers ain't that.
Good job. 3 for 3.
Woo!
Big Bad Beetleborgs is derived from Juko B Fighter. Master Rider, obviously, is derived from Kamen Rider. And then Super Sentai is the source material for Power Rangers. So good job. You
Virtual reality
Big
troopers.
Bad
Go.
Beetleborgs.
So you won this round. No, you did not yet. You just were successful. Alan,
It ain't over.
tell me, in what chronological order did those shows come out in America? This time I'm including VR Troopers. So the four shows are Masked Rider, VR Troopers, Big Bad Beetleborgs, and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Just
I've never heard of Masked Rider, so I'm gonna guess that came first, and then I'm gonna go with Power Rangers, and then I'm gonna go with VR Troopers, and end it with Big Bad Beetleborg knockoff Jay Leno's crazy face.
yeah, I forgot about that guy. The blue.
It's like Jay Leno mixed with Count Chocula.
yeah. So close, my friend. So close.
Man.
Power Rangers was first. It kicked off the Sentai boom not Sentai. It kicked off the Tokusatsu boom in the United States. That happened in 1990s. 1993 is when the first Mighty Morphin Power Rangers came out. After that, a year later, VR Troopers Saban and Co. got the rights to that, so he put that show out. Masked Rider was third. It was a year after VR Troopers. And then Big Bad Beetleborgs would be the next year, 1996. The first one of those that I didn't watch because I stopped watching American Tokusatsu at that point. But I was way into the other three. So,
I didn't know about Masked Rider. Was that on Fox Kids?
Yeah. All of them were.
Really?
Sure. Yeah, because they were all Saban properties. So.
Damn, Saban.
Yeah, he bought them all up.
That dude knew what he was doing, man.
He did. He was like, oh, wait, this shit's fun.
He was on a podcast. He was on a better podcast than this one. I think it was called How I Built This, maybe. And they talked to like people who built like empires in America. He was on there and he was talking about what he did to get these shows over here. It's pretty interesting. I recommend it. Check it out. It's a good show.
Well, it was smart because in Japan there aren't any rules about creating television shows to sell products to toys like overtly. So he was like, he probably was like, what properties outside of the United States can equal revenue, like big time revenue, and like, you know, coming up with, I mean, Power Rangers is just absurd. It's like you have a team. It's like, all right, so you could do action figures for the individuals, and then you could do action figures for each of their machines, and then versions of the machines that connect together and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, on to the next thing. This third round is called Spell It Bee. It's a spelling bee, but it's also a cooperation spelling bee.
What are you doing, Marcus, you evil maniacal?
So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to give you a word, and then you guys have to spell it letter by letter and alternate until the word is finished. And see if you can spell it successfully. And obviously, whoever gets like the wrong letter is the piece of shit, I guess. All right, here we go.
Don't give me no diphthongs.
The Giant Hero series, Gridman, the Hyper Agent, provided the source material for the American show Superhuman Samurai, Cyber Squad, and the 2018 anime SSSS.Gridman. The Giant Hero genre is known as Kyodai Hero in Japan. Kyodai. Spell it, bitch.
Who, me?
Actually, Alan, you go first this time.
So I do one letter and then AJ does one letter?
AJ does the next letter. And so on until the word's done.
Y.
O.
D.
A.
I
didn't hear the first letter. What was the first?
I said K.
Okay.
I said Y.
And then you said O, and then you said D and I. Okay.
It was KYODAI is where we landed.
Good job. Neither one of y'all effed it up. You spelled it right.
Ring-a-ling-a-ling.
Kyodai.
That's round one. Let's step it up for round two.
I like this game. I'm feeling good about it.
Sub round two. In Japanese, Gridman the Hyper Agent is called Denko Chojin Gridman.
Dinko Trojan Gridman.
Dinko Trojan?
Denko Chojin Gridman.
Chojin. Okay.
Spell it, bitch. AJ, you go first.
What am I spelling? Dinko?
You spell all of it. Denko Chojin Gridman.
Say it again.
Denko.
Difficulty curve.
Chojin.
This is on you, Alan. D.
E.
N.
K.
O.
C.
H. It was Chojin?
I'm starting to decide if it's Chojin or Chiojin. So
Ooh.
I'm gonna go with Y.
O.
Hold on, CHY. No.
Yeah. Chio.
Can I run that back?
You can take it back.
Okay. Let's just go with O.
Okay.
J. N?
I'm sure it's wrong. Chiojin. How would you? It's probably Chiojin, but whatever.
Okay, I'm not gonna make you spell
Dye's
Gridman
been
because
cast.
that's just English.
Gridman.
AJ, you fucked it up.
Which one?
Denko. That's correct. Choujin.
What?
Chojin.
Alan fucked up. He said
curveball.
No, he did say O.
Alan almost messed it up with that Y. He was like CHY. No,
I was like,
Chojin. Dang. Chojin. Dang, you use. Okay.
so Alan, you tied it up, and here we go. Here we are entering the final round. Kaiju versus Giant Robo.
is this gonna be an escape room?
No, it's not. It's going to be a simple game where I give you a name and then you tell me if it's a kaiju or a giant robo.
I love it.
Ooh. Très bien.
Did you say giant rowboat?
Robo.
Yes.
There's a whole giant rowboat genre of tokusatsu.
This
I know,
rowboat's huge. It's green. It has a blue stripe.
All right. Who I want to go first? Alan, you could go first. All right. Okay. So the first name is Giant Robo.
Legit. Real shit.
What?
Giant Robo.
That's his
Man,
name.
if Giant Robo is a kaiju, I'm gonna be real upset. You're gonna make me say Giant Robo is a giant robo?
Is that your
You're
guess?
gonna make me say that?
I'm gonna make you
Man.
guess
Why are you doing this to me?
because it's
I'm gonna
fun.
look stupid no matter what. If I say giant, this is a trap. Giant Robo's a giant robo. Oh, you're wrong. You're the dumbest human ever. Or if I say giant robo is a kaiju, people are like, what are you, stupid? It's not fair, man. Giant robo is a giant robo, you piece of shit.
You're right. Correct.
Thank you. God.
I didn't think it was gonna be hard. I just thought it was gonna be funny. That turned out so much better than I thought it would. All right.
Dirty bastard.
AJ, Daitetsujin 17.
Daitetsujin 17. I'm going to go with Kaiju, Bob.
Wrong.
Damn
It
it.
is a giant robo. Alan, Vada.
Kaiju.
You are correct.
Yes.
AJ, Jet Jaguar.
Jet Jaguar. I'm going to go with a giant robot, Bob.
You're right. It's a giant robo. Alan, King Ghidorah.
Kaiju, man. What do you think I was? You think I don't listen to MF Doom?
I know you do. Correct. AJ, Knife Head.
Knife head. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Kaiju, Bob.
You are correct. It's actually a kaiju that was in the first kaiju you see in Pacific Rim, the first Pacific Rim movie.
Oh, I watched that movie once.
Alan, Mikazuki.
I'm gonna go with giant rowboat.
You are correct. AJ,
Hey, robot.
Mikazuki-san.
Dyna Rex.
Dino Rex. Giant Robo.
Correct. Alan, Space Godzilla.
This feels like another trick. Feels like they might have seen Godzilla and then they're like, how are we gonna beat Godzilla? We'll build a robot Godzilla.
There is a
and
Mecha
call him
Godzilla.
Space Godzilla.
That does exist.
Yeah, there is. So why
But
is
is
there a
that
Space Godzilla?
Godzilla?
If there's already a Mecha Godzilla, it's a kaiju. He's a kaiju.
You're correct. He's a kaiju.
God damn it.
Hey, that Vagina Rex, was that what's that from?
Dyna Rex?
Yeah.
It's from what we're talking about tonight.
Okay.
AJ, Kumonga.
Kumonga. Kaiju.
Correct. Alan, Ultraman.
Ultraman.
Giant Robo.
Nope. He's neither.
What?
He's a fucking alien.
Shut
Neither.
up.
Ultraman
I was gonna say
and all his brethren are aliens.
I almost said kaiju because like maybe it was like, oh, he's a kaiju in the shape of a human. Because you're on some bullshit tonight. But whatever. Did I win?
AJ gets to go one more time. AJ. Go Galactose.
Yo, Blacktoes.
Yo, black.
No.
That sounds racist.
Galactose.
Blacktoes.
Not yo black toes.
With yo.
Show me yo
toes.
black toes. I'm gonna go with.
It sounds way worse than it is.
It is. It does. I feel like a jerk. Big mecha robot.
Nope. Neither. I made that shit up.
Man, it
That's
was
the
black
end
toes.
of the
happening?
game. Pew pew pew.
Should have known that.
Alan,
Marcus is
you
on
won that
some
round.
BS tonight.
So it's tied. Yay, we're all winners. Good job.
Kaluku.
Everyone's not
Thank
a loser.
you for playing Tokusatsu Game Variety Pack. Till next time, reach for the stars.
Yatai!
If I knew any Tokusatsu sayings, I'd say one right now, but I don't. So
It's morphin' time.
yeah, there you go.
Pterodactyl!
Saber-tooth tiger.
Twin Go Green Ranger!
Go,
Go,
Green
go,
Ranger. Go, go.
Alan,
Yeah.
do you know what SSSS stands for?
Super Sentai Samurai Squad.
No.
Was I
Close.
close?
Yeah.
Close, kind of. Yeah.
Superhuman
Is it Super
Samurai
You're
Cyber Squad.
you're also
Cyber with. Go ahead.
You're also close, AJ, but technically not really because I'm a nerd like that.
Well, shut up then.
It doesn't
What's the
stand
real
for
one?
that, but it is a nod to Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad spelled with an S. It
But
means
that's how it was spelled.
it means like special something to save souls or something stupid.
Really?
Yeah, looked it up.
That's dumb.
It was going to be one of the questions, but then I couldn't figure out how to make it a good question, so I nixed it
I'm going to start this off.
by telling
Just-
the people what we watched.
Yeah. By telling them what they watched, what we watched. SSSS
Dynazenon.
Dynazenon. I never had to say that shit. Dynazenon.
Something like
Dynazenon.
that. Close enough.
Dynazenon. And then a bit of SSSS Gridman.
Gridman.
And I want to say, here's my experience. Like a year or two ago, I watched the first episode of SSSS Gridman. I know I watched it, but then I watched it again and I didn't remember any of it. And I was like, this is like Ultraman, not realizing that, yeah, it's, it's the same stuff. And then I was watching Dynazenon, and it was like Power Rangers. It's the same thing. It's the same concept. And I realized I don't need to watch these shows because I've already seen these things. And these aren't bringing anything new to the table. Because, look, if you like Ultraman and you like Super Sentai, and these are like right up your alley, right on, good for you. But when I was watching these, I was like, okay, unlikely kid gets powers, becomes big, strong thing, fights kaiju. First half of the show is character stuff happening. Second half of the show is fighting a kaiju. It applies to both shows. And I watched like 2 episodes of Dynazenon, and I was like, these characters are so freaking dull. The story is dull and a repeat of everything I've seen already from watching Power Rangers. Nothing new, nothing special for me. And then watched 1 episode of Gridman. I was like, okay, yeah, I can see why people would like this show. it's not doing anything for me. So I'm not gonna watch this anymore.
So you watched 2 and 1.
I watched 2 and 1. That was all I could.
This is huge.
Stomach.
This is huge, Alan, because that means he watched less than both of us, which AJ is usually the one that can make it through more
The thing
episodes
is, like,
than anybody else.
I was getting mad watching it because I was like, "Is this is really like people are like freaking out about these shows? Like they love them.
People love them. Yeah,
Are they?
Yeah, like this is the best. This anime is so great. Blah blah. Or like
a couple we know, but I think online, at least I know Gridman is well liked.
I was going to read some pieces of reviews off of my anime list. Let me pull some of those up while you guys give your little.
All right, Alan, go for it. I'm interested to hear what you got to say.
I'm going to tell you about my experience. I waited till like the last. I watched 3. I think it was 3. I said 4, but I only watched 3 of Dynazenon and then 1 of Gridman, and it was like. It was kind of like writing a paper or like putting off an assignment to the last minute. And I was like, there's no way around it just to do it. Like some things you can kind of like phone it in or like run out the clock. Like this is like, and I was like thinking of AJ, I was like, man, I'll just throw on the dubs. Cause I was struggling to stay awake. Okay. Because I didn't want to have to read. And I was like, oh man, I need the dubs so that I can like be doing something else more interesting and just be listening to the dialogue in English. When I found out that wasn't an option, my spirit was crushed. Oh. And I was just like, I'm going to have to sit through this. I'm going to have to read every word and I can't do anything else while I do it. So yeah, I fell asleep watching it's probably like an hour and 20 minutes worth of these 2 shows. I fell asleep 3 times, I'm pretty sure. In the total in the total runtime that I accumulated. Part of that is just me, the time of day, and just me being like a sleepy old man, but also when like 10 minutes is the most you can get. I don't know, man. Yeah, there was nothing, there's very little
at the very least it didn't wake you up
here. It did not wake me up. It did not excite me. It was very much like, are we done yet? Are we there yet? Can I say that I put in the good faith effort?
I can tell I don't like a show when it feels like I've been watching it for 25 minutes and it's only halfway through.
Well, let me tell you about my experience.
Please do.
So I started watching this show because we had to watch it for the podcast. It's obvious. I watched 1 episode of Dynazenon, and then I was like, man, Castlevania is good. So
it didn't help that we were all like in the midst of a Castlevania relapse. After season 4, we all went back and watched season 1 and then the God tier season 2 that we didn't even realize how good it was the first time we watched it. But I digress. Please continue.
So all that happened because like just watching it again was like, man, I got to go back. I have to. So I watched like 1 episode of that, and then I think I watched half of season 2 like right after that. Because I was like, all right, I'm going to just like watch 1 episode and then maybe go back or like do some other shit that I have to do. And I just like was on the couch like watching it. And then I was like, all right, well, the later on in the week, I was like, well, I got to watch this because we got to do it for the podcast. So I was like, all right, well, you're going to watch 2 episodes. You got to do it. So I did that. And then I finished Castlevania season 2. Because I'm like, man, Castlevania is so good. And this show was not doing anything for me.
Should we just talk about Castlevania?
No, we shouldn't.
Did we do an episode about that? We did an episode about season 3.
We talked about season 3 last year.
Yeah, last year would have been season 3. You're right. But anyways, that kind of helped, at least the fact that I finished season 2, because season 3 is probably the weakest, and I'm not in a hurry to watch that again. I probably will at some point, but I don't need to do it in the near future. So then like Sunday, like I had a bunch of free time, so I was like, all right, like let's just watch some more. Just watch to episode 5. So I watched 5 episodes of Dynazenon, and then I was like, I'll watch 2 episodes of Gridman after that, just for comparison, because I was getting through Dynazenon, and I was just like, yeah, I don't like this. I don't hate it. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but I'm not gonna finish it. But maybe I'll check Gridman out and see what the buzz is, because one of our friends likes Gridman a whole lot. Actually, I think 2 of them do. And I think they both like Dynazenon, but maybe not as much. So watching Gridman, I kind of had a similar experience to you, AJ, where I was like, I could actually see people getting into this, but Tokusatsu's not really my thing. Like I said, I was into it back in the 90s when we had our boom and they were making all the live action shows, and I thought that was cool. But around 1996, when Beetleborgs came out, when Power Rangers Zeo ended and went to Power Rangers Turbo, I was kind of like, I don't watch this stuff anymore. Like, it's not for me. So
I will say that Gridman had a stronger start than Dynazenon for me.
Way stronger. Like, if somebody had a gun to my head and said, you have to finish one of these, Gridman all day.
Gridman, 100%. Yeah.
Because the setup of it was way more interesting, even though, like, I'm not a huge fan of that genre. The whole circumstances around the world were kind of interesting. How you start off with this kid who has amnesia, which that's always interesting, because
I wouldn't say it's always interesting.
I don't think it's always interesting.
Okay. It always has potential to be interesting.
I'll give you that. It always has potential.
Yeah.
It always has potential because if you care enough about what you're watching for any reason, it puts you in a place of learning about the world right alongside that character and trying to figure out, like, why this character has amnesia. So, yeah, he's not the best example of that. He's no Jason Bourne or anything, but that's way better than how Dynazenon opened up, where it's just this kid who kind of likes this, like, bitch face girl who like just stands boys up for no reason. And then there's a guy that doesn't work and his cousin, and they all just happen to be in a place. And there's a guy that's like, you gotta drop the ships. And then they're like, what? And then they're in them.
I talked to Kaiju.
And then they have to fight. And then they're like, okay, great. Anyway, I'm going to stop there. But it's funny that we all kind of have these experiences where we were going into it lackluster anyway.
Is that the thing that's wrong with her? Is that she just likes to stand people up? She's like, there's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, getting into spoilers for anybody that hasn't seen it, go watch the show, blah, 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 all that obligatory stuff. The thing that's wrong with her is you find out that her sister, I guess, was supposed to meet her at that floodgate that she's at, and she died there, and she found her dead body. And at the very end of the 5th episode, she's talking to a person. She's trying to figure out more about her sister because she really didn't get along with her. And she's like, he was like, they thought it was an accident. She died on accident by falling or whatever, but he think it might be suicide, which, I mean, I thought that from episode 1, that she probably killed herself or something. Maybe episode 2, I thought that. So I think it's some weirdo, like, act out your trauma thing with her. But the weird thing about it is you have, in both of these shows, you have like this weird high school angsty drama with this backdrop of tokusatsu, like in the case of Dynazenon, morphing robots that morph together, like super bright colors, and the battles are really easily fought. They don't feel like there's a bunch of stakes, even though cities are being destroyed. It's kind of like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, where as a little kid, you don't really care about collateral damage because your brain doesn't think like that. You just think big, assortable, connectable monster. There's a better word for that, but I can't think of it. But a monster that can be built versus big kaiju guy, or big monster versus big robot, whatever I'm trying to say. So when the buildings blow up, you're just like, haha, cool. Like they fell on the building. But as an adult, you're just like, It looks like it's the middle of the day, and
Right.
I think they said it was Wednesday. So
There's people in there.
Yeah.
That means
they're
population of the
dead.
city divided by
Right.
number of buildings.
But even in Gridman, if I'm going to compare Gridman to Dynazenon, Gridman felt like there was some gravitas to what was happening. Where Dynazenon is like, yeah, we fought him again. We fought the Kaijugenicists, which that's fucking weird too. The fact that they're called the Kaijugenicists.
I study kaiju eugenics.
Kaijugenics.
Episode title.
I was a Kaijugenicist.
Yeah, so I think
then I
I
saw the
answered
error
your
of my
question, but
ways.
I gave you a bunch of other information too.
Well, and I think my other issue with the show is that every one of them, like the Funimation, I watched both on Funimation. I know Crunchyroll had subs for Gridman, but the dubs for Gridman were on Funimation. That happened to be the site that I was on, so I watched the dubs and and I noticed this in the Japanese for Dynazenon as well. They all just sound like real sleepy. Like everybody talking just does not have a lot of
Yeah. Well, then he drops the
oomph in their voice.
Well, then it's even like the stuff that could make the show more interesting. He was like, "Oh, I was alive 5,000 years ago, and I got revived in this era." And I'm just like, "Hold up, what?" And then they're just like, "Oh, 5,000 years? Wow, what are we gonna eat for lunch?" I'm just like, "What? What?"
They don't treat any, like, the stuff that is the highest stakes, they don't treat with any gravitas at all.
No, yeah, nothing like phases these people. They're just like, "Oh, well, I gotta go to work now." I'm just like, okay,
Yeah.
bye.
And then they're all super nonchalant about training because Galma, who is the 5,000-year-old alien dude or whatever that runs into this group of kids that help him pilot the Dynazenon, he's all like, after they are like by accident pilot the thing and have their first battle and win it easily enough, he's like, all right, you guys have to train now. And they go to this like creek where there's a bridge and they meet there, I guess, every day to train. But sometimes some of them don't go to training because they have to work or they have a date or something like that. And they're just like, hey, tell Gamma, like, I'm not going to be there today.
Fate of the world or, getting some gyoza.
It's odd. And all of this stuff would be fine if it were funny, but it's not really that funny. I think I chuckled maybe twice when the main kid, can't remember his name because I don't care. I think it's Yomogi.
Yeah.
Yomogi.
Sounds right.
He works all the time because he wants to like have his own money, so he skips training. So like the second time they battle, he's trying to fight and like he doesn't know how to move his Zord, for lack of a better thing to call him. He can't move his Zord. So he's just like running around and the arms are like swinging like in independent motion and stuff. That made me laugh. And then when Chisei, the younger cousin to the guy that doesn't work, she tries to take control of it too, and then the same thing happens. That's probably the hardest I laughed, but even then it was just a chuckle. I was just like, yeah, that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
And then it was over.
Yeah, was that episode 2?
That Chisei piloted it?
Yeah.
I think that was 3?
I don't think so. It might have been, well.
I want to say 3.
I think I jumped around after the second episode just to see if I saw anything that looked more interesting. Like visually, like it's very bright, like you said, but I don't know, it's not really doing anything for me. Like Studio Trigger, I feel like has not lived up to their potential for me lately. Like they had a lot going on early on, but like lately it's just felt like they've kind of phoned it in a bit. You know what I mean?
Well, Premiere, I don't feel like they phoned it in. I just feel like that's a taste thing. Like you're either in for that sort of thing or not. I think visually they put a lot of elbow grease into that. I'll say for both Gridman and Dynazenon, I do like the style of the characters. Like I like how the people look. I might not like all the designs of everybody, but I like how they're drawn. I feel like all the characters are very nice to look at. But when it comes to the either Gridman, who is like an Ultraman type thing, where he's just like a super big guy with armor on, or the Dynazenon, which is a Megazord, basically. Those things are they're in that CG, that two like hybrid cell shaded 2D 3D style, and
Right.
that you don't get a lot of cool looking style from that. Like they look fine, they're okay, but it doesn't really wow you. And as far as like the creative direction goes, they're not doing things like super awesome like they did in Kill la Kill. You know, where Kill la Kill has a lot of fun style to it. Like things are very exaggerated, and the fights are very kinetic, and they do cool things. Like it just feels like somebody's artistic vision. Where this is like, yeah, it's a well produced thing that looks
Right,
fine.
and they live in the genre. They're trying to live in the genre, and you kind of notice it with Pacific Rim as well, the Netflix one that we watched, because it's very, very bright, and that was all CG, so it's a little bit different. But it's always the mechs are super brightly colored, and the kaiju are super brightly colored, and they kind of, it's a bit of a visual conflict, so to speak, when you see that compared to like just a normal backdrop of, you know, like an anime backdrop or like a normal looking anime characters. I think the character designs, like you said, are really good, and it's easy to look at. But you know, I think when you see like a kaiju fight, I think I just expected a little more flash and a little more like presentation that was more interesting than what you get, and what you get is just pretty generic feeling for me. And as I'm watching it, I'm just like, okay, he gets knocked over, building gets knocked over, okay, come and punch the kaiju, okay, kaiju has a special move, it misses and hits a building or something like that. I'm like, I don't know, it's just not, those fights can only be so interesting if you confine them to the same thing every time. And they move stiffly as if they're people in suits, which I get, it's like the genre. But you also have the opportunity, since you're animating it, to do something more interesting. And I don't, at least what I saw, I didn't see anything new or exciting or interesting in that. And maybe it happens later in the season, but that's not what I.
Yeah, I mean, I watched 5 episodes of Dynazenon, so I mean, from what I could tell, that like the kaiju are the I guess they are kaiju because they were fighting kaiju, but yeah, the kaiju element of it and those fights wasn't even the best thing about the show. I don't really know what I think the best thing was. Probably just how the characters look, but even if I want to grant the angsty high school story of Yomogi trying to like find out more about mean face girl, can't remember her name. Like, even if I wanted to invest in that, it's just boring. And that's more interesting than the kaiju fights, which are super wacky. So you have on one hand like these high schoolers that have these really dry interactions, and it feels kind of like, I don't know, it feels more like a film because there's like long silences and a lot of space, and you see that in like a lot of movies because they have the time to do that. And then, you know, 3 minutes later, it's this kaiju fight where things are supposed to be important, I would think, but they just don't feel like it. So it's weird.
And it makes me think, like, what's the point of the kaiju fight other than like a visual spectacle?
Yeah, I really like, it felt like 2 shows like smashed together, especially Dynazenon. I mean, it was like, because every episode you have to have a little more drama with the kids, and then you have to have a kaiju fight, and then and it's like neither one of those gets like appropriate time to really develop, and they don't really interact with each other at all either. It's just like, okay, I'm learning more about this girl and her past and what her deal is. Okay, time to fight a kaiju. Okay, we won. Back to work. And there's no like I don't know, and it just every single episode that I saw was the same. I assume they continue with that formula because that's that is the established formula. You always have to have a big fight at the end and give them reason to use their robots, but it was just like there's a reason we don't. I don't know. I feel like the nostalgia factor is the main appeal, and even for me, like I watched Power Rangers, I was super into it, but the designs of like in Dynazenon, they even felt kind of like dated. Like they didn't do anything new with it. Like they're holding these like action figures.
Oh yeah, that's right. They literally get action figures.
They literally get action figures, and then they throw them in the air, and then they get big, and that's that's how they fight the kaiju. But like they look like almost like Legos. They're real blocky and like these big triangle teeth on like the dragon mouth and stuff. And I'm just like, and like everything's like mostly just red and with like yellow accents of things. And then like, you got the big green bulb in the middle, like a la Mega Man and the Megazord and all the, Japanese designed robotic things. I did think the design of Gridman was way cooler, and like the way it moved looked a little smoother and a little more I don't know, thought out, I guess.
I think it's easier because Gridman is like a being rather than
it's
a robot that has all these angles.
Yeah. But yeah, just from what I saw, Gridman, it seemed like it was more thought out or better executed than Dynazenon.
I just think Dynazenon doesn't have a base really. Like the story is, I mean, it's there. I don't want to say they didn't write anything. It's just how everybody ends up in the situation is uninteresting. It's accidental.
I mean, getting people there, like however they get there is fine. Like, okay, he accidentally steps on this dude and then he becomes a pilot. Like, sure, whatever. Like, how they all get there is fine, but like what they do once they're there is more important, I feel like.
You're not,
and it's still,
yeah, you're not wrong.
It was disappointing.
I guess the only reason I bring that up is when I'm trying to think about why Dynazenon has 0% interest in it for me, and Gridman has like 3%. It's because I think about how Gridman built it up, like the whole time I'm watching the first episode, it feels like it's going to a place. Like I'm learning about this kid that has amnesia. He's finding out that this girl that helped him, he thought it was his like one of his friends, but she's like, yeah, this is actually the most I've ever talked to you. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Well, yeah, let me go find out who would know, like who can help you. Oh yeah, that's right. You're friends with this one kid. Give me your phone. So I'm gonna call him up. And then they have a conversation. So they're in school and he's trying to be like, hey, what type of person am I? He's figuring things out about himself, or at least he's trying to. The guy doesn't really give him a good answer. And then you meet like another girl in their class that shows some interest in him for whatever reason. So it's like, all right, she's going to be important somehow. But before all of that even happens, he sees this dude in a computer that's talking about like his mission and his destiny. So it's like, okay, what the fuck is that about? So all of that to say, it turns out that the main kid, the girl that helped him, and his friend that he's asking who he is, they're going to form a team to summon Gridman, the hyper agent, so they can fight the kaiju that in this world are actually affecting things. Like certain individuals are being killed and people are worried about them and miss them. So these three are like, we have to fight because we don't want any more people that we know or our friends to disappear and nobody have a memory of them. Oh my gosh, I don't love this show, but there's so many things there that would get me to watch it just out of curiosity. Dynazenon has fucking none of that.
And contrast that with Dynazenon, where like the teacher in the classroom is like, yeah, the traffic was a mess because of the kaiju. Oh man, I wish they would stop attacking. You're just like, is this
it
where
was
we're
so
at?
like matter of fact, like
is kaiju just a given
here? Yeah,
yeah. Is it just? It's just
like
foregone.
A tornado.
Like,
here comes the kaiju.
I hope I don't die in a kaiju attack today.
Yeah, and maybe it is just a way of life, but in order for you to make that interesting, you're gonna have to make it funny. Either it's got to be funny, or the people have to be really engaging with how they deal with it, and none of those things are true.
Or at least tell us why. Like, say that. Where, I mean, I guess you don't have to say it, but like everybody acting, because they're not reacting to other big deal things that are happening. Like, oh, I'm from 5,000 years in the past. Just like, oh wow, cool. So is everybody just like has this like malaise about everything?
Yeah, well, and then there's the whole thing where, so the main kid, Yomugi, he meets Galma, who is the 5,000-year-old guy, and Galma has like a preoccupation with him because he like fed him when he was hungry or whatever. So Yomugi's like at home taking a bath, and then all of a sudden Galma like walks in and gets in the bath with him. And he's like, how are you even here? And then later he's like, Mom, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, he said he was your friend. So I just like told him to go up to the bathroom where you were.
What kind of creep ass shit is that?
And the dude is like obviously older than him. Like even though,
and also he's got these like gray circles around his eyes constantly. And I mean, I know it's just his design, but it's like nobody's reacting to that,
right? And so then it becomes a regular thing for him to just be over at their house, which I get it. That's something that's comedic. But they don't really treat it comedic. They treat it as whatever. Like, it's just like, yeah, okay.
It's
he's
whatever.
Just live here now. And
whatever the story needs.
Yeah, and the kid is the only one who's reacting, and he's not even reacting that hard. He's just kind of going, oh, you're here again? That's annoying. Come on, Mom. Oh, well, I got to go to work. Uh-oh, another kaiju. Oh, man, I'm in the middle of work, or I'm in the middle of class. Guess I gotta get there. And then they fight, and then they play the old school kaiju themey music, which I'm not a huge fan of. So I think it is primarily a nostalgia thing. Either nostalgia, or you're in for it. And it sounds like we aren't really that much.
Will the Devilman on my anime list says, if you're a fan of Gridman, then you will sure enjoy this show as well. SSS.Gridman brought out my love of mecha kaiju genre, and I had no idea what I was missing out on. That's boring. This guy said, or I just lost it. Melting Comet said, this is my anime of the season. Hell, at this point, probably the year. And I'm surprised it's being so slept on here.
This is Gridman or Dynazenon?
Dynazenon.
There's always one. Every anime has like
several.
One person that's like, this is the anime of the year.
This guy said, I feel like this anime took everything that Gridman did and made it better.
It didn't.
Lula Brula. Both Gridman and Dynazenon were both kind of a mix of slice of life anime and an anime with a storyline. I ain't seen that yet.
Well, it is very slice of life, but uninteresting in the slices that you see.
And then they talk about the hottest characters.
Okay.
Who is the hottest character? Is it Galma or
no, Rika and Mujina.
Okay.
Oh, the one I guess the one Kaijugenicists, she's pretty hot.
This guy says
the one female one.
Blah blah blah. It talks about, he gives a synopsis of the story, and then he says, this is pretty much where the good things end about the show, unfortunately. Besides the action, most of everything that happens is boring and mundane. 4 out of 10. This was difficult to sit through.
My man.
Yes, 459.
Yeah.
He watched 4 episodes.
T-shirt.
Yeah.
You agree with us. Here's a t-shirt.
Seriously. Should make that the new currency.
That's
the
what
new
we should
social
do.
currency is t-shirts.
Yeah, we should set up a merch store, a store where we just have like this anime is trash shirts for all the anime that we don't like, and we find people that like review animes that we hate. They hate them, the same ones we hate, and then we send them a free shirt, and that'd be awesome.
He was the lowest rating at a 4 out of 10. Everyone else is 7 or higher.
4 isn't bad. I could agree with that. Because like I said, it's not the worst thing that I've seen. It's not high-rise
it's
invasion.
it's just very basic.
It's
I
just
guess if you
boring.
like this kind of thing, like if you're into mecha anime and you're into kaiju and you're into this style, it's probably good. But it's just not for us.
I can understand Gridman. If somebody wanted to go to bat to me about Gridman, I'd listen to them because there are a lot of things in there. As I recounted them, I'm like, okay, that's kind of interesting. I would be curious to find out about that. Dynazenon, I just don't see where the interest lies in that, other than you get to see a Megazord. And if you get a boner for Megazords, then yeah, I guess that show was for you. And like really badly designed kaiju, because I hate the kaiju designs. They are all old school throwback, and I always thought those designs were ugly.
Yeah, they're pretty ugly.
They're ugly and they're like, one had like its head in like the middle of its stomach or like its neck. It looked like an old man.
Yeah, and then it had like a weird like dong flopping over on top of it. And what's with the sparkles? Like, is that like
that's like I think a
an
kaiju
homage thing?
maybe I think it's like a kaiju entering into the dimension of Earth or something. I don't know. It just appears every time there's a new kaiju.
Like, I understand if you're doing live action and you have limited like old school, they were live action, they had limited ability to produce special effects. Like, yeah, you needed some sparks, you needed some, twinkles or like cheap like overlay effects, but like this is animated and they're doing like weird sparkle rings out of nowhere.
I wouldn't.
And then like he cut the explosion in half.
Yeah,
there's like explosion bubbles in the air that I'm like, like we've all seen that anime, like the explosion goes off and like the burst kind of lingers there for a minute. But nah, he's straight like, these are solid balls now, and he's cutting the explosion in half with his sword. I was just like,
I remember seeing that.
Okay, let's do it.
I remember seeing that and thinking it was real dumb.
Yeah. And then I think I closed the laptop and went to sleep.
Yep. So yeah, I hope people like it. I think people do like it if they're into that kind of thing. But I don't know. At this point in my life, I need something fresh, something exciting, and I just can't. I can't sit through stuff that is not interesting enough, unless I'm like super in the mood. Like, I got to be in the right mindset, and I was not in the right mindset for either of these shows.
I don't think any of us were.
Well, and Gridman, like I said, like I think I could have got through Gridman, but the other one, forget it. It was nothing. I don't even if even in the right mindset, I still would have been like, this is boring, because it was boring, super boring. I ain't got time for boring.
Yeah, no, Alan, last time we were talking, you were saying mood can affect how you think and see a thing. But I had 3 different sessions of trying Dynazenon out. So I think this one transcended my mood. I definitely wasn't in the mood to watch it. But
yeah. I mean, the Castlevania factor is hard to ignore. It's crazy, like coming off of something really good and then going back to like regular things.
Well, and I don't want to get too in depth in this conversation, but there's a lot of like real generic, real plain Jane anime out there, and there's not a lot of fresh content, at least that I'm seeing. And people are going to argue with me and throw tomatoes at me when I say that, but a lot of the stuff that I just pick up out of nowhere, there's not a whole lot of interesting things going on in these stories. Like, some of them are like just out there and they're original ideas, but they're not exciting enough to keep me engaged.
Marcus, you said something interesting about the Demon Slayer movie, where you said it's anime good, it's not Hollywood good.
AJ said that, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And I think that's like, I don't know. I feel like there are anime fans out there who like anime is their jam, and everything is relative to other anime, or just, it gives you what you want, and that's your thing, and that's fine. Like, I'm happy for you. But I think we approach it from a more like holistic view of media. So I mean, anime's kind of at a disadvantage. When just
it's hard for it to compete with big budget Hollywood TV shows and movies.
Yeah, but also it's just like the Marcus, you did say, you said like Japanese people. I think you said Japanese people don't understand
like it's
stories.
Racist.
No. You said they understand stories differently. Maybe I forget what we were talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's all Japanese people, but like it does seem like when people go to create an anime, it's just like certain considerations that you would have to make in like, I don't know, that you would make in a production, of any production. They're kind of throwaway. Like,
well,
how
I
did
feel
they
like I
get here?
used to give anime the benefit of the doubt, and part of that was just kind of the freshness of anime. It was all new, and like anything I could get my hands on, I was like, this is going to be great. And even if it wasn't great, I still appreciated it in a different way. But now we're so like oversaturated with anime.
Yeah, well, now it's just a huge,
it's ridiculous. So it's like I got to be real selective with what I watch, and if I'm watching something and it's not doing anything for me, like pretty quickly, anytime I have to watch, like, oh, wait till halfway through it gets better. It's like, no, I ain't got time for that. Make it good from the get go and cut the runtime in half.
Yeah,
don't make me sit through 300 minutes of trash to get to something that might be good.
Yeah, there are plenty of stories. There are plenty of shows that maybe not plenty, but there are numerous shows that I've watched that have sucked me in from episode 1 or episode 2. And like we said, Castlevania is actually a really good example because the first season of that was 4 episodes. And it was like a better season than most other shows that I watch in just 4 episodes. So the stuff can be done. It's just about how you tell a story. And some people some creators choose to tell stories long and, they want them to be a slow burn. But like you said, AJ, it's like, I ain't got time for that. Like I am 20 years separated from being a 16-year-old, man. So I ain't got time, to just be spending a whole Saturday waiting for something to get good. Like I only get those Saturdays ever so often. So it's like, man, this thing better be good the whole time. I'm not about to wait.
I also don't know the factors that go into I always wonder like why was this show created? Like this one, it seems like, yeah, there's a huge nostalgia factor here. Gridman was well received. Like, why not do another one? And like, we're not really trying to tell a compelling story necessarily, or maybe they were and it just didn't work out. But it
seems like Trigger's trying to do a franchise with the SSSS series.
They are,
and build on that. And there's an audience for it.
Well, I mean, that's what that's like Tokusatsu bread and butter. They're all meta series. Like Super Sentai's been going on for friggin' decades. Godzilla they continue to like make new movies of that. And Hyperman, Gridman, the Hyper Agent or whatever, like that's had a bunch of different iterations. Ultraman's been done and done and done. So it makes sense for this property that they would want to continue to build the universe out, which is fine. And we're just 3 dudes, so I'm sure they'll make their money off of people that aren't us. But I mean,
they're up there giving us the finger from their high tower.
But we do a podcast where we talk about but we do a podcast where we talk about our opinions, and so here you have it. We don't like it that much.
Not for us.
But Trigger did BNA too, right?
BNA, I never saw that.
I think they did that as well. I didn't watch it because I don't really like anthro stuff that much. That's another thing.
Oh, that's the one that was that on Netflix?
I think so, yeah.
BNA.
Yeah, it's like
I need to watch Kill La Kill because you guys
brand new animal.
Yep, that's it. That's Trigger, right?
They did Trigger, Or Trigger did that.
So I know people like that, but I didn't watch that. I guess the thing that's really confusing about it is just when you hear about something that has accolades and then you watch it and you can't even go, yeah, okay, I can see why you'd say watch this.
Well, yeah, and I don't want to crap on it, especially because we know people who liked it.
Oh, I'm a dick.
So,
I'm not.
well, I want to
about
know
that.
what made them like it. Like, am I missing something here? Like, because again, it goes back to mindset. Like, were you just in the mood for some Ultraman / Power Rangers type stuff, and you're all into it, or am I missing something here that can be explained, or is it just not my type of show?
And I think we look for the bangers, or I mean, we're hoping for bangers when we try new things. Like, yeah, we're trying to branch out a little bit and expose ourselves to things that we wouldn't otherwise check out. But like, when things are getting good reviews, we're like, oh, cool. Like, you get excited about that new thing, and I don't know, maybe we're setting ourselves up for disappointment. The next thing that we watch, I'm gonna just approach it from like, try to have fun.
It's hard because there's always fans out there who love a thing like it's the greatest thing.
Yeah.
And unless it's like universally trashed, like X-Arm,
glorious X-Arm,
you're not going to find something
for the glory of X-Arm
disliked by all. And I feel like lately we've been kind of trashing on a lot of stuff, except Castlevania.
Well, we always end up nitpicking things, even if we didn't hate them. Because I feel like we didn't hate Yasuke, but there was a lot to nitpick about it.
There was, yeah.
Yeah,
I think
by the end of it, I enjoyed
it. I think we generally liked it more than the consensus on the internet. Because the internet is like, this is the worst. This is terrible. I'm like, like it's all right. It's not doo-doo.
I think it's easy to look back on a show and be like, yeah, I remember that fondly. Like, I didn't love it, but if I remember it in a way that's not hating it, then I think overall it's a good show.
I don't know. I look back on stuff a lot and just go like, yeah, that was forgettable. I didn't hate it, but I don't remember anything about it.
Well, I'm saying I'm not saying about everything. I'm saying if I remember it fondly, then it was
I see what you're
a decent show. I'm not saying I say that about everything.
Got it.
It also depends on just like you said, Marcus. Some stuff hooks you from the get-go. When you're like 5 minutes in and you're just like, because that first 2 minutes is crucial. Because like if the excitement just goes boo, you're just like, am I in for 20
I don't
more
need
minutes
to see
of what I just experienced? Like, is this it?
I don't need to see images of power lines with cicadas in the background for the 100th time.
That's why it feels like a movie when that happened.
No, I don't need to see that. Get to it. Come on, you're filling airtime. Why? Get to the meat and potatoes. I get it. You're in Japan.
Well, that's just the pretty art factor. That stuff can.
I guess, but once you see that 100 times, you don't want to see it anymore.
I don't know. I don't get tired.
Babylon Brook.
Me personally, I don't get tired of it. I think that's my nostalgia. I think that makes me nostalgic more than giant robots. Is power lines and cicada against a blue sky, a blue sky in the summer with the Japanese sign next to it. I'm like, hell yeah, dude.
Why do they all use the same cicada samples? We got cicadas out the ass right now where we live.
Yeah,
and they do not sound like that.
Hey, Japan, I'm gonna send you some cicada samples. It's
yeah,
make your
new
ears
cicada
ring.
samples. So
Step outside my house, you have to put some earplugs in.
Dude, I love it, man. It just takes me back. It takes me.
I can understand. Stuff like
early
that.
Days in anime.
The right sound at the right time will take you back to, take you all the way back.
Evangelion did it a lot.
Yeah.
You know what? Made me feel old? You guys are talking about how old we are. What year do you think the Inspector Gadget movie came out? The movie with Matthew Broderick. Yeah.
I'm only gonna say this because I just watched the 101 Dalmatians live action movie, and Kristen referred to it as the new movie. It came out in 1996.
Jeez.
So I'm gonna say 1996 for.
You talking about the Glenn Close one?
The one with Glenn Close?
Yeah.
That was 96?
Yeah.
Holy hell.
Yes, that was 96.
That hurts.
I'm gonna guess Matthew Broderick, Inspector Gadget. I'm gonna say 01.
Is 99.
Oh.
And I was like, in my mind, I'm like, maybe 10 years ago. It's like, nah,
Nope.
20.
Well, then you say 10 years ago, it's like 2011. And I'm like, no, it definitely didn't come out in 2011. But
yeah, well, that's the disconnect. That's what happens when you get old.
Right.
That's
10 years
random. What
ago,
made you think of that movie?
It was on like Imager or something. Somebody said like, "Oh, Inspector Gadget, 1999." I was just like, "What? No, hold on."
Wow.
And then I cried a little.
Yep.
Anyway,
That's nice.
We're old. These things are old.
Yeah, and maybe a little bit of solace. I think besides the friends that we know, some of the other people that really are into this, maybe they're young, but then they wouldn't have the nostalgia factor. So maybe that's not even the thing.
yeah. I mean, I
don't know.
I feel like there's a lot of just. I mean, it's kind of like what I said about like if you're an anime fan and that's what you do.
Yeah.
Then you're coming at it from a different perspective. But anyway.
Or maybe we all just have our sweet spots, you know, like things that don't necessarily need to be good, but if it's that
for
thing,
sure.
you can be into it, you know, kind of like
Yeah,
how
I mean,
some
I
people
could
like
see
Dragon Ball
myself
Super a lot.
I could see myself being in the mood for a kaiju fighting show. Like, oh man, I'm into kaiju movies right now. I'm watching all the Godzillas. I'm watching all the Ultramans. I'm watching these SSSS shows and being into the genre. But other than that, like, I don't, it's hard to see this as like a casual genre. You know what I mean? For most people. But
I guess the thing too is that's a little disappointing is you can make anything good if you do it right, if you try hard enough. I mean, one of our favorite examples to go back to is Heaven's Design Team. That was just like a random show we decided to watch for one of the Smorgasbord episodes, and it was so smartly done that the three of us ended up really liking it. A show that just has the craziest premise, an art style that none of us would like gravitate toward naturally. And it was like, this is the best show. Or like Household Husband, I didn't even want to watch that. I actively didn't want to watch that. And I was like, this shit's hilarious. This show is amazing.
I like that show a lot.
It's good. It's good.
It's fun. And it's perfect for my ADD brain because it's like 2 minutes,
13 seconds long.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, stuff like that. We are often pleasantly surprised. And sometimes in bad ways too for stuff like this. Because I want to like a show like this because big robots are cool and kaiju are cool sometimes. But
just need you to take them fucking serious.
Right. Like make it fun for me to watch. Don't
put
make
some respect on their name.
Right. Quit making it all angsty. Or if you're gonna make it angsty, make it interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I see what they were trying to do. It didn't work for us, but
right.
Anyway.
Well, and we kind of know Studio Trigger's not known for their storylines.
intricate
hey man,
story
I know
leadings.
that you crazy fools didn't like it, but freaking Gurren Lagann has a good story. It really has a good story.
I will say Gurren Lagann was a more interesting story than either of these shows.
Hands down.
I guess I need to go back and watch Gurren Lagann again.
I had to tap out because of all the fan service. I felt like a perv.
Well, you're not going to be able to watch Kill la Kill then.
Yeah,
Kill la Kill's worse.
Way worse.
All right.
Gurren
Wow.
Lagann.
Way worse than Gurren Lagann. I mean, Gurren Lagann wasn't. I mean, it was bad. I'm not gonna say it was
look up the
that
main
bad.
character for Kill la Kill.
I just put it on
my
my phone to remind myself, and the one image that came up was just like, okay.
Yeah. Gurren Lagann has a few characters that are fan service. Kill la Kill, kind of the point is fan service. They actually weave fan service into the story. So
you guys have told me about it before.
Yeah.
I didn't watch
the more
very much
naked
of it.
they get, the more powerful they are.
Something like that.
Not really. It's more
Okay.
complicated than that.
All
Because
right.
they actually make a story around it, around the nudity and stuff. So, Kill la Kill actually has a pretty decent story too. It's not my favorite story. I just like the show because it's freaking bonkers and a lot of like cool action, really funny comedy and gags, and I like the visual style of it. So that's why I ended up watching it. It lulls in the middle, but overall,
What about
I like it.
Akamega Kill?
I never watched that.
Yeah,
I read like the
Unrelated.
first volume of the manga, and I was just it was that generic thing. It's like a generic team of of individuals that all have specialties and shout out their moves and stuff. I like the art style. Well, I like the art style of the manga. The anime wasn't that impressive to me, visually. But yeah, it's just like, all right, this is generic. The new hapless boy character runs into the stoic girl character who's like the leader of the team, and then they have a big bruiser guy, and then some other people that do magic. Maybe
is his name Brawler?
His name is not Brawler. Dude, I would finish Akudama Drive before I'd watch more Dynazenon. And I don't even hate Dynazenon as much as I hate Akudama Drive. Akudama Drive is just more interesting than
Just
Dynazenon.
hate watch it. Just please hate watch it.
I'm not doing it, man. No, I'm not.
Marcus needs a hate watch show because I had a hate watch show with High Rise, whatever. Alan had it with Akudama Drive.
The problem is I don't hate watch things. I'll never have a hate watch show.
Well, then find a show you like that we hate, and then we can all hate on it together.
I watched Boogie Pop Phantom, and technically we all watched it, but y'all didn't hate it nearly as much as I did.
That's true. Fair enough. All right, we'll give you that one.
Yeah.
Man, I forgot we watched Boogie Pop Phantom again.
Boogie Pop sucks. I don't care what none of y'all nerds out there say. That show is trash.
Fuck y'all, that shit is garbage.
I think my hatred has only grown because I think when we did the podcast on it, I said I wouldn't call it trash, but I think it sucks. No, it's trash.
I kind of, Marcus, want to watch the Junji Ito collection so we can rip on it.
That could be fun.
It could be fun. It could also be infuriating.
Yeah, how it doesn't hold up to the source material.
Right. I think we got to wait until Uzumaki. Is that the one that they're making for?
Yeah, I think you're right.
That looks good.
Does it?
The animation looks good.
Oh, I'd watch Uzumaki.
Was it
Creepy ass
Uzumaki?
Junji Ito. Introduce Alan.
Here, let me send you this teaser. This looks amazing. But anyway, any final thoughts? Are we good? I think we're good.
Follow us on Twitter.
If you don't like Tokusatsu, then you're not going to care about SSSS.Gridman or Dynazenon. Yeah. If that is your jam, have fun. And join the rest of the
Go nuts.
anime boys and girls that love that sort of thing.
Take your pants off and hit the play button.
Oh my God.
And see what happens.
Turn off your brain and your underwear brain.
All right. We're not going to peter out like we always do. We're going to do it fast, hard, to your face. We're going to go out
internet.
with a boom. We're going to blast off
podcasts
to your face. Oh.
Second worst anime podcast on the internet, Broke Otaku. Check us out, brokeotaku.com. Twitter, @BrokeOtaku, @BrokeOtakuCast. Go on iTunes, leave a 5-star review. We leave a 1-star review. We don't care. Leave a review. I just want some attention. Just listen to the podcast. Shout us out and call us out on our bullshit. Tell us how stupid we are. Tell us how awesome we are on all that stuff.
Talk dirty to me.
YouTube, thumbs up, subscribe, all that.
Buy me a sandwich.
Go do it right now. Pause the show.
I love you.
Actually, the show's over, so you can just stop the show. Go do those things.
All right, we're done. Say peace, Marcus. Say peace. Wrap it up. Typo on it.
Oh, yeah.
Well.